For 15 years, I had been pre-diabetic. I've never been on drugs for it.
Hmm.
I've always tried to manage it by not eating any sugars, no desserts, nothing white. And I went to a nutritionist and she actually put me on a meal plan. And I went to another nutritionist a few years later and went on another meal plan. And of course, it still stayed up in the 110, 115 range, the fasting glucose. My sister was diabetic, and I had a brother that's diabetic as well. So there's a genetic component, but also I was just determined it's not going to happen to me.
Hmm.
So if there's anything that I can possibly do, I'd rather do it naturally than to be taking drugs. So yes, I was never completely outright full diabetic.
Okay, so and there's so many people who are pre-diabetic. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
pre-diabetic, if you keep doing the same thing, it will eventually turn into type 2 diabetes. I mean,
Exactly.
that's the trajectory of that. So
Exactly.
you were very wise to try something different, because once you're on those meds, it's like it's a slippery slope, and I'm sure that you know because you've seen it with your family.
Right. Right.
So when nutritionists, you said you saw a couple of nutritionists. So what kind of meal plans did they put you on?
They limited the amount of carbs in per day. So many carbs for the breakfast, so many for lunch, and so many for dinner. And of course, it was eating meat and fish. It was eating chicken and eating fish. Greek yogurt. I was having Greek yogurt and mucilix in the Greek yogurt every morning, and fruit. But I was only allowed a half a banana because of the amount of carbs.
Hmm.
So it was very limiting, but limiting isn't what's really important. The fact that every time I would have my fasting glucose numbers run, it would inch up another point or two higher, regardless of what I was trying.
Hmm.
And I guess the part that infuriates me more than anything is the doctors themselves don't have the correct information to pass along to their patients. So what they tell you to do does not work. And so all you're doing is feeding the pockets of big pharmaceutical companies
You
and
nailed it.
paying doctors, paying the lab technicians. You're keeping
Hmm.
everybody in a job by eating the standard American diet. And people just, no matter how intelligent they are, they just don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
Even when it's explained to them, so many people don't get it.
Yeah. Well, you just nailed everything that I'm about. I couldn't have said it better myself. And you got it. You're absolutely right. I mean, the whole medical system, it's a very broken system. And
It is.
unfortunately, the doctors don't know nutrition. They are taught to write prescriptions,
Right,
that's it.
right.
So so you got off that. You said, screw it, I'm going to try something else. And
Yeah, this
good
isn't
for you.
working.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Daughter-in-law is actually a physician. And so we had a very enlightening conversation. And she said they barely, maybe one semester, they barely touched upon nutrition during medical school. They're not taught how to fix the problem, how to correct the problem from the root level.
yes.
All they do is put a pharmaceutical band-aid on it.
That's exactly right. They don't get to the root cause of the problem. They just, like you said, put a band-aid over it, and that's it.
Yeah,
And when you have a band-aid, it's gonna need to be, that's not a fix. That's just a, little short-term fix. And you might see a little bit of change, but not until you fix that root cause of the problem. You're not gonna get big dramatic changes in
but
the.
the damage continues to be done to your body,
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah, exactly.
even
Even
with
with that band-aid.
medication.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, um, so many places to go from here. So you found Clean Food Dirty Girl, and you started with our meal plans.
Yeah. Um, Actually, I had been on a 2 week dive trip. The way it all worked out was really funny. I was on a 2 week dive trip down in Roatan, Honduras. And I came home, and my son called me the next night and he said, Mom, we just watched a documentary and they're talking about you. It was,
Mm.
asthma, pre diabetic, everything that I have issues going on with. because of the poor diet, was affecting me. And he said it was like they were talking about you. And it was What the Health. And then we watched Forks Over Knives as well. And I thought, oh, good Lord Almighty, that, everything, the glucose, the triglycerides, the high cholesterol, everything.
Yeah.
And so that next day, I emptied out my closet, emptied out my freezer and my refrigerator, gave away hundreds of dollars worth of meat, fish, and said, okay, I'm doing it. I'm in full speed ahead. So I found your website, and I absolutely loved the support that everybody seemed to give everyone. So I did it. I tried it, and I signed up for the meal plans, but to be honest, I'm not a cook. I hate cooking. I don't live to eat. I eat to live. So I do as little as possible. But the meal plans are fabulous. So when I need something to cook, I go to the meal plans and say, okay, this I can do, but I don't do the whole batching for a week at a time. But I make the food and I eat on it for about, for a few days at a time and make a lot of soups with the Instant Pot. But your recipes have been absolutely wonderful, and they're not that difficult to follow.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are in your position who is kind of coming off that standard American diet, who had these health problems. They don't know how to cook, because you can eat that way and get away with not knowing how to cook because it's all convenience foods.
Yes.
So when you really understand that, okay, well, I have to at least spend a little time in my kitchen, because what you're essentially doing is taking responsibility for your health. And when that happens, you got to get in your kitchen a little bit. But, the meal plans are kind of like this canvas, and you use them how best fits your skill level, your life, and your routine. So you nailed it. Perfect.
That's what I've been doing.
Okay. So how long have you been following along with the meal plans? How long has it been since you signed up?
Beginning of October.
Beginning of October. Okay.
Beginning of October.
And this is now, we're December 11th today. So
right.
Okay.
Right.
So what has changed since you started following along?
What hasn't changed would be an easier question.
Okay.
Everything has changed. Everything. From sleeping. I'm sleeping like a baby. I don't wake up unless I have to run to the bathroom for, too much water. But everything has changed. It's just incredible. I had developed asthma about 6 years ago. And I went to pulmonologist and had pulmonary function test done, and he said, oh yeah, we have asthma. Since I started on the diet, I've only used my inhalers twice total, instead of about 2 to 3 times a day. Everything. I had 5 weeks into the meal plan, I had lab work done. Everything has come down within normal range. Everything. Yeah. My fasting glucose is within normal for the first time in about 15 years. My triglycerides are normal. The HDL is higher than the parameters that they give you. And the best thing of all for me is that I had been suffering from IBS diarrhea since about 2009. And after 2 days, I could leave the house before noontime. And I thought, damn, this is pretty good. Yeah, I can actually function in the daytime now. Yeah. So that in itself has been the biggest improvement that I see, not counting labs. Sure. But it's incredible. It's just, I never would have believed possible. And working with a gastroenterologist.
Expensive.
They don't tell you. Yeah. But they don't tell you. Yeah. And so I had been eating dairy every day. I had been eating Greek yogurt every day because, of course, it's good for you, isn't it? Right. So since I stopped eating it, I'm just 100% better. Another very important factor for me, which I didn't even realize would happen, I had glaucoma for about 10 years. And my sister lost her eyesight due to glaucoma as well. And a brother also had glaucoma. So again, it's probably goes hand in hand with the diabetes genetic factors. And I go every 4 months. So I went about 2 weeks ago, and the technician does a whole battery of tests. They do the visual field test, the field of vision, and they do all kinds of photos, pictures behind your eye and everything. So then she goes and she measures my pressure. And she looked at her numbers that she got, and she looked over at my chart and she said, let me redo these. So she did it again, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, I'm in trouble. Numbers are going up again. So after she did them the second time, I said, well, what were the numbers? And she said 13 and 15. And I said, 13, 15? I haven't seen those numbers since I've never seen them. They've always been 18 to 19 on drops twice a day. And so they dropped down to 13 and 15. And she said, what on earth are you doing? She said, you've had some radical change going on, but what are you doing to get those kind of numbers? And then it dawned on me, and I thought, good Lord, can diet affect that as well? And that was the one. I expected everything else from listening and doing all my research and all the reading before I ever started doing the diet. I expected the numbers that I got from my labs, but I did not expect the glaucoma eye pressure result.
Wow. What a happy side effect of all of this. And especially you're a diver, right?
Oh, I know it. I'm an underwater photographer. I've got to see what I'm photographing, It helps.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It just gave me chills. I just love that. And so often you start on this thing and you think like, okay, this might happen, but then all of these little bonuses start to happen and you think, it does, and it affects every part of your body. It's amazing.
But your eyesight is a major bonus.
Yes.
It really is. It really is. And he also said, when I told him what I was doing, he said that also helps prevent macular degeneration.
Yeah.
So for people that are on the fence, you need to get on board.
Yeah.
You really do. And if I could shout it from the rooftops, I would.
Well, you are right now.
Well, I think most of my friends are pretty fed up with listening to me, you got to do it. You got to try it anyway. Look at the results you can get.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing to think that it's something that it's so, by doing this, what's the harm? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like a prescription or the newest, miracle drug that might have this list of side effects that's even worse than the initial problem, which so many of these things have. It's like, okay, you make some changes to your diet, you try it out. What do you have to lose? You might lose, a few pounds, and it's like there's no downside to it. So it's incredible to hear about it, but then to actually experience it like you've experienced it.
Mind-boggling. And I also lost 11 pounds in 5 weeks without trying. And eating soy-based ice cream. And I still lost weight. But
that's what happens when you focus on eating for your health. The whole thing of trying to lose weight, it doesn't happen for most people, and it's incredible. So how did you eat? Like your life leading up to this in food, did you have a pretty standard American diet before you switched? No,
I didn't. I'd always been very careful. I hadn't had desserts for the most part in years. I had already eliminated everything white from my diet. I didn't eat much red meat. I very, very seldom ate red meat, but I did eat chicken and fish. Occasionally I would have pork. The other white meat, but a small serving of meat, but I did eat a lot of dairy, and I was completely and totally addicted to cheese in any form. On any dish, I would add cheese. So that has been the most difficult for me, is to give up cheese, but I've done it, and I'm in it probably about 95%. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, I mean that is a hard one for most people, just because the nature of cheese is addictive. It really is.
It is.
So, well, that's interesting. So you weren't like full on standard American diet. You were like the healthy version of the standard American diet, which a
Yes.
lot of people are in that camp who are,
Yes.
cutting carbs, but having chicken and fish instead and
Ex-
staying away from white processed flour,
Right.
and
Right.
sugar. But even with that, you still didn't have optimal health. And I think
No.
that's really
No.
important because if you go to the grocery store and you look at like the little racks of magazines by the checkout and you see like
Mm,
Cooking Light or all of those kind of magazines that are meant to be healthy, and you look in there, it's like there's no carbs, there's a lot of animal protein.
right.
It's like that healthy version of the standard American diet, which doesn't, which might help a little bit compared to McDonald's every day, but it's
Right.
not going to do what eating, with fueling your life with plants is going to do. It just can never.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. And you feel so much better eating
Yeah.
plant-based diet.
Yeah.
I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. I'm
Yeah.
well rested.
Yeah.
Whereas before I tossed and turned and, not so anymore. It's just the standard American diet is just a recipe for disaster, any way you look at it. And anyone that follows it is going to have heart problems, diabetes problems, their blood pressure. They're bound to. We're not made to eat that way.
Yeah.
And
That's absolutely right. The body can only handle it for so long before things start to arise. And a lot of and what happens is the body starts to have problems before your doctors know about it. Like it's a long time
yes.
leading up to a diagnosis of, type 2 diabetes or hypertension or whatever. So it's like, yeah, you're right. The body's not meant to. And when you take that all away, and what you've been experiencing firsthand is all of a sudden the body starts to kind of heal itself and say, "Oh, okay, I can now function how I'm meant to function."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But my only regret is I wish I didn't wait 68 years to do it. You know, I wish I had known about it beforehand.
Yeah.
Unless you actively research,
Yeah.
you're not going to find out about it because the doctors and the nutritionists, they don't even know about it, never mind know enough to tell you about it. And
Exactly.
it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And you see so many people that it would benefit so just tremendously, and they don't know enough how to do it. And it's sad. It's really sad. Healthcare is going to go up, the cost of healthcare, because of all, the just the little kids that are obese at 10 years old.
And have type
It's
2 diabetes themselves at 10 years old.
right,
It's
right, right.
absolutely heartbreaking. And it's why I do what I do. And that's what revs me up. That's what gets me pumped up, because there's so many people who aren't making these choices because they want to feel like crap. They're making these choices because they just don't know any better, because the information isn't out there in the mainstream. And that's because Big Pharma doesn't make money off from it.
Well, it's the pork industry, the beef industry, the dairy industry. What would they do with all those chickens if they didn't slaughter them to feed everyone?
Yeah.
The farmers would go out of business.
Yeah.
The grain companies, everyone, it has a rippling effect. So they don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
protecting industry, for sure. But it's starting to shift, and it's coming from a very kind of ground level. I mean, that's where it has to start from, because it's not going to start from the government saying, "Hey, you need to ease off from animal protein and start eating more plants." It's not going to happen.
right, exactly. No, it's not. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, and what's making the shift is documentaries like Forks Over Knives and What the Health, and these people seeing themselves in these documentaries and thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe I could change. And then people like you who are willing to get on camera with me and talk about your success, because I create the meal plans. I am like the face of Clean Food Dirty Girl, and I could, tell people that this is the best thing on earth. But at the end of the day, when people have actually experienced it and are willing to come chat with me about it, that's when you get people who really start to pay attention. Because I could say it all day, but I sell the meal plan, so it's really important to have other people kind of share their experience.
It is, and especially when you know that you can completely turn your life around.
Yeah.
My youngest son they're expecting their first baby February 19th, and my children only knew one grandparent. All the grandparents were dead except
Yeah.
for one before they were born. I want to be an active participant in my grandchild's life. I don't want to die when they're 3 years old from cardiovascular disease. And so anything is worth that. I
Yeah.
want to know my grandchildren.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
damn, I've waited long enough to have them. You know, I'm on. I want to be here to enjoy them.
That's right. And I mean, the thing is, it's you said that you wish you wouldn't have waited 68 years to do this, but it's never too late, and the benefits that you're going to gain from this are going to keep going. And we have this idea in this society that as we age, we just kind of fall apart and we just kind of break, and we have to take this
Yeah,
medication and that's just how the aging process is. But it's crap.
exactly.
Of
That's
course,
baloney.
it's
It's
baloney.
bullshit.
It totally is. Thank you. Talking my language. Um, so, and it's true, as we get aged, there's things that change and there's things that shift, but we don't have to fall apart like an old jalopy on the side of the
Right,
road at a certain age. It's just,
right.
you don't have to do it. And go ahead.
One thing that really scares the daylights out of me, I've had melanoma a couple of times so far, and I've had about 6 pre-melanomas removed. So knowing that that's probably lurking somewhere in my body, waiting to make its, announcement
Mm.
and metastasize, you have to fight with all your guns. And so knowing that sugar and dairy and meat feeds all those cancer cells, why that's not the way I want to go,
Yeah,
It's
and it's
gonna,
twofold too. I mean, it's that
yeah,
those substances are, not good, and they create this environment that's very cancer friendly. But then also the fact that veggies with lots of colors and all those phytochemicals and antioxidants and vitamins and minerals, those actually combat it. So it's like
right,
these two things working for us.
right, right.
And
So,
yeah,
yeah, that's my goal.
yeah.
That's my goal, to keep it at bay.
That's
So,
right. Yep,
yeah.
that's right. Well, you're doing all the right stuff, and I'm really I'm so happy for you to kind of experience this new lot on life.
Oh my gosh.
At this age, I mean, how amazing is that?
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
actually fun. I've got about 4 friends locally, and I have a couple of long distance friends that I have spent more time on Facebook Messenger, messaging back and forth, explaining the benefits and why no oil.
Yeah.
But hold on, olive oil is good for you.
Yeah.
Oil is fat. I
Yeah.
don't care. Wait, just you eat it, it's going to go on your belly.
Yeah.
And just trying to help them to explain. In fact, there's a nutritional course at eCornell for plant-based diet, and I was thinking of actually doing that so I could be qualified to help others get on board with it.
I say go for it. I've done that course, and it's a great program. You'll
It
learn a lot, and I
Yeah,
do it, because I mean, that's the thing. You go through this yourself, and you think, okay, I'm feeling so awesome. You see all these people who are struggling and who don't know, and you think, the natural kind of trajectory with that is like, how can I help?
how can I help you get back on track?
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to. I have arthritis in my hips
Mhm.
from too many years of running and skiing and, everything else. And I'm off pain medicine. I'm not even taking any pain medicine for the arthritis. And I'm
Wow.
back and I'm walking 3 to 4 miles a day. So people have got to listen and realize that it can be done. It takes willpower. It really does. And it's not, the older you are, I think it's more difficult to break lifelong
Mm.
habits. But what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Look at the alternative. Do you really want that?
Yeah.
Oh, heck no. So,
It's worth it. It's worth making those
yes.
changes and kind of and I think that when you're first transitioning, that's going to be the hardest portion. The first few weeks, that's going to be the tricky part. But if you can find, and even if people don't get my meal plans, there's lots of blogs out there. There's lots of whole food plant-based recipes. If people can even find like 10 to 15 recipes that they really love and just start incorporating that, I mean, that's a start,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then as you change, you'll see that eventually you won't need willpower anymore. Eventually, this is just going to be your go-to, and you're going to actually prefer this way of eating. And
Yeah.
you're going to lose the taste for cheese and processed foods. and meat, and you're going to crave hummus and veggies and big salads.
Yeah.
And the longer you do it, the more that is true.
I agree. I'm taking hummus to a Christmas party tonight. And vegetables.
Good for you.
Yeah. So no, it's good. It's easy, and I have lost. Occasionally, I'm still having to work through issues saying no to pizza, or sometimes I'm afraid my car might go into automatic and just go right into that parking lot, to get a pizza. So I'm still fighting that, but pretty much everything else, I don't care. I just don't care. It's not worth it. It just isn't worth it.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that it's important to, like, if you're craving pizza, then buy a whole wheat crust, get even like some pizza sauce, put a ton of veggies, and get some vegan cheese and put on top, and have that once in a while when you're craving it. Because I think that
True.
It's not exactly the same as a cheesy pizza, but it is a little bit more indulgent than the regular, like, whole food plant-based way of eating. But if that's going to kind of satisfy that craving and keep you on track, I say go for it.
It's a happy compromise.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been really awesome to chat with you, and thank you again for your time. And I'm just one thing I wanted to ask you. You said that your HDL is in a normal range. What about your LDL?
Yeah, well, that's down.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
down, but I still have a little more work to do with that. That was 5 weeks after I started, so I'm not really sure how long it takes for the LDL to come down. It is lower. My ratio went from the total cholesterol ratio went from 4.1 to 3.2. So that's
definite
good.
Progress.
Yeah, it is good.
Well,
and it can. Sorry.
Good. I was just going to say, like, it's been 68 years of not eating this way,
Right.
And it's been only a couple of months since you started.
Yes.
And so a lot of people see really fast results. I mean, and that's the thing. The body kind of starts to heal itself quickly, and some people will see some things quicker than others, and some things will start to heal quicker than other things. But the more you do it, the better things will get.
Definitely. But 3.2 is still within normal. So, I mean, I know it can come down more, and it probably will. But my triglycerides that were high, it was 197. That's down to 123. So those they're all within normal ranges. So I'm happy because no more drugs. No more drugs. Get off the drugs and stay off them.
Yeah, no more drugs, just plants.
Right. Exactly.
It's a beautiful swap.
Yep. And all the beautiful, colorful plants. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It really is. So much your meal plans, because it makes it so much easier to look at the shopping list and just go out one day and buy what you need, and then the next day come home and cook whatever you want. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm really glad that you put them to use in the way that work for you. And I just want to say props to your son for letting you know, like, hey, Mom, you got to see this. Because, good for him for looking out for you,
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah.
He wants his mother around for his daughter. That's
Absolutely. Yes, we all do. We all do. And my mom is 70, I believe 74. She just turned 74. My dad's 70. And they follow a whole food plant-based diet. And I feel so blessed because when I visit my parents, it's like we go hiking, we go out, we go do fun things, and I see so many people whose parents are my age, and their parents are, they're taking them to the doctor, or they're taking care of them. And it's so, it's so sad. And I've been so thankful to have my parents around and be really active and happy at their age. It's like such a blessing from the child's perspective,
Yeah, a lot more fun too, aren't they?
A lot more fun. Yeah.
A lot more fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were always cooking together, and, it's such a blessing to have a parent who's happy and healthy. Really.
Yeah.
That's
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So even my one son travels quite a bit, so that makes it very difficult for him. But the other son, the one that told me about the diet, has also started. He and his wife have been, they've gotten rid of all dairy and pretty much most all meat. So they're starting to follow it a little, they're easing into it gradually.
Yes.
So, Right.
Well, and that works too. I mean, we're all so different, and we all have our different kind of comfort zones with making this transition. And some people, like you, are like, okay, I'm tossing everything out. I'm
done.
starting over. I'm done.
Done.
You know,
I'm done.
And perhaps the stakes were a little bit higher for you, you know, because you want to
Yes,
see your grandkids around, and you are dealing with this pre-diabetes. So for you, those are some, you know, serious things, and you're like, screw it, it's not worth it. You know,
Exactly.
and
I
somebody
want to get rid of everything.
Yeah, that's it. And for some people who are a little bit younger, who might not have health problems yet, it's like, you know, that is far off in their mind,
Right.
you know, so they can maybe ease into it a little bit slower or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, once you start easing into this and you start feeling a little bit better, you just, the natural kind of progression is to keep doing it because you just feel better.
Right. And it's fun having your kids to share recipes with too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that is pretty cool. When he sends me a recipe and said, "Have you tried this?" Hey, I will. There you go. Good
That's
job.
fantastic. Oh, well,
Yes.
I really hope that you keep us updated and keep me updated. I want to hear your progress and just stay in the loop. But I'm just really happy for you, and just keep up the
Thank
awesome
you.
work.
I will. Thank you so much for all your help and the support of your group. You've done a
Absolutely.
great job.
Well, you know, we can do the work and we can put it out there, but if you don't follow it, it's not going to help anybody. So, you know, you deserve a big pat on the back, and I wish I could give you a big hug right now.
Thank you, Molly. You're a doll.
Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.